Well, look at that little joker.
This week on Kentucky Afield.
Yeah, nothing to write home about, but that's what we're looking for right there.
The possibilities are endless when you can make your own lures. But when your favorite bait is no longer manufactured, it might be your only option. Next, did you know that Kentucky is home to one of the most diverse ecosystems in the world? We're exploring it with the experts.
Wow.
Then,
Here we go.
it's always a good time to catch some fish.
Another white bass.
We're making a quick stop at Taylorsville Wildlife Management Area.
These crappie are stacked in here.
It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Such a pretty fish.
Beautiful.
This pond is plumb floated with frogs.
They're everywhere in here. Yeah, this is a good fish right here. Really good fish.
Come here, girl.
Hey, boy. That's a big rabbit.
Nice job. Yes! Yes! My first mussel.
Mercy, Leo.
Yeah, look at it. It's a keeper.
Here it goes. Boom!
Wow, that happened fast.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. During the past year, you may have noticed that some of your favorite outdoor products have been hard to find. But when it comes to your tackle, you have an option. You could always make your own. Well, if you fish, chances are you've experienced a situation where your favorite lure is either no longer produced or has become very, very hard to find. One of my favorite lures is a short arm Colorado blade spinnerbait. Well, I had a company that used to make these, and they actually made them here in Kentucky. And I bought hundreds of these jokers. Unfortunately, they're out of business. So today what we're gonna do is I'm gonna build a short arm spinnerbait perfect for these lakes like Cumberland, Dale Hollow, Laurel Lake that have smallmouth, crystal clear water. This is a perfect lure choice. Probably my favorite. All this material, there's several places you can go. I go to a place called Lure Parts Online. You can literally build any spinnerbait you want. Here's the bait we're gonna try to make. I'm gonna make a skirt color that in a tequila sunrise. That's a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink, a little bit of black and blue. I'm gonna make that skirt first and show you exactly how to do that. So typically these skirt combinations are 40 strand skirts. So that means I want to have 40 strands on this lure. Well, if you buy skirting material, they'll come in a package like this. There's 10 of these in here, and each one has 20 strands. So what you want to do when you're building a skirt is take whichever color you're going to use the most of and put it down first. So that's 20 strands of metallic purple. Now, I'm gonna go with a pink color. I'm gonna use half of this. Put that down. I'm gonna go with somewhere close to 5, 6 strands of black metal flake with blue in it. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more purple. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take a lid of a marker. I'm going to put one of these skirt collars right here on this. Then I'll fold this up like a little burrito and run it down in here and then slide the skirt collar off on it. All right, now, here's what I've got. I've got my skirt collar right there in the middle of my skirt. You just want to roll that down, kind of toward the middle. Now it's time to free these tops and bottoms because as you see, these skirts are still connected. That would not make for a very pretty presentation. So you just need to grab you a pair of sharp scissors and just cut the ends. I'll trim it to the exact length later on, but this frees the skirt out. There you go. This skirt is ready to go on my spinnerbait when I'm done. So after you get that done, The next thing I'm gonna do is show you the actual wire and head on this spinnerbait. Now, this is a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. I'm also gonna make some halves here later on. The number one thing on a really good quality spinnerbait is obviously the hook. This is what you're gonna have in contact with the fish. You want a really good hook, and then the next thing is a really high quality swivel. My objective here is to make this spinnerbait give the most thump with the absolute slowest retrieve. Now you can see these spinnerbaits here that I buy. These have the exact same swivels, they're just a different color. Look how this blade, how free this blade is. You're like, well, how important is that? Well, if you want to retrieve the lure through the water as slow as you possibly can and just get that thump, 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 thump on the end of your rod tip, this is what you want, a really high quality swivel. So I've got my arm here. You'll notice when I bought this spinnerbait, I couldn't buy them on a short arm. But that's okay because these wires are made to be cut and bent. So you can see a major difference in the length of this arm and this spinnerbait. The next thing is the gauge of the wire. This is a little bit lighter than what I would throw on a 1/2 ounce. This is like 0.32, and I usually throw a 0.35 to a 0.38 on a heavier weighted, bigger blade. So right now we're gonna put a number 5 Colorado blade. This is a black nickel. These swivels actually come with the split rings already on them, so I need to take this split ring and put a blade on the split ring. There we go. Now look at that blade. See how easily that thing is spinning? That's what we're looking for. So now, a couple things about a short arm spinnerbait. A short arm spinnerbait works extremely well because it makes a little bit smaller profile in the water, maximum thump at a slow retrieve speed, and the next thing, you see where this hook, where this thing is spinning, proximity to the hook? A fish comes up and hits that blade, it almost can't hardly avoid not hitting the hook. It's right there. So I'm gonna shorten this arm. So what I need to do now is to measure this, and on this one here, it's actually about 1.75 inches. Now remember, I also have to put this bend in there, so when I cut it, I'm gonna cut it at a full 2 inches and then give it a twist. And once I get it to that point right there, I need to get my split ring pliers back out and close it up. Now, the blade can't come off. It's on there. It spins very nice and easy. Now it's time to add a skirt. Showed you the skirts that I like. My dark colors, I want on the back. If you've looked at any bait fish, it'll have dark on the top, lighter colors on the belly. Put my spinnerbait trailers and jig trailers on there the same way. You can spin this and make that color correction once it's on. Slide this up over the top. It's got a little holder in there. Adjust your skirt out. Now it looks like it may need just a little bit of trim. Even it up, make it pretty. There you go. Now I have the same short arm spinnerbait that I've been having trouble finding with the same high quality swivels, same size blade, same length of arm, high quality hook, in the skirt color that I like to throw best. A lot of times I'll run a trailer. I like the darker colors. Of course, we're night fishing, so that bait there is now ready to go fishing. Well, Daryl, as you well know, I love the nighttime smallmouth fish. I love to throw a spinnerbait, especially when we got a little breeze like we do tonight. You love the spinnerbait fish too.
Yes, I do, Chad.
So I was like, you know what? I am going to make me some spinnerbaits. So I made a couple for us to throw tonight. Hopefully, with this wind coming in here on Cumberland, we can get a good nighttime bite going.
Sometimes they will cooperate and sometimes they don't. So we're going to find out what they're going to do tonight.
Some nights you can't go wrong with the spinnerbait, and some nights you can't get them to touch it.
When they're not hitting a spinnerbait, you can forget it. You can't make them, even though sometimes we're going to say, we are going to make them hit that spinnerbait tonight. Sometimes they'll just say no. No, thank
But I'll
you.
tell you what, some of the best nights I've ever had is on a reaction bite on a spinnerbait. I mean, that's if you're going to catch big fish, big numbers, and they want to chase a bait, you can't go wrong with a short arm spinnerbait.
You're right.
We're going to run up the lake and get started to fish our way back and see what we can't get.
Let's go.
Daryl, this is our first point here. It seems like we're sitting out here in the middle, but you fish a lot like me. You like keeping this boat out in 30 feet or so and casting into them, don't you?
Yeah, I want that spinnerbait to be down at least 20. The boat usually needs to be sitting maybe in 40 or 50, depending on how it falls off, and just keep the spinnerbait blade turning a little bit right off of the bottom if you can.
Oh, here we go.
Fish on.
Well, look at that little joker. He got a smallmouth on. Boy, he inhaled that spinnerbait. I don't know how a fish that size can hit that hard. So when that bait's coming to the water and they decide that they're gonna eat it,
They'll jump on it.
that fish there ain't 13 inches long, but when he hit that, he about took that rod out of my hand. See if we can't catch another one out here on this point.
There he is, fish on.
You got him? Oh, got him in there. There you go.
Ah, we finally found one.
There you go. A little bit nicer fish than what I just caught.
Yeah, nothing to write home about, but that's what we're looking for right there. Thank you, little boy.
There we go. Well, there he goes.
Quick
too.
release.
Quick release. Man, I didn't get a good hook set on him because he about knocked the rod out of my hand. There we go. This is a little bitty joker. I don't even know how to hook such a small fish. Look at that. We've got a spot. This ain't even a smallie. Spotted bass. Decided he wanted a little bit of that spinnerbait action. Daryl, tell you what, we got soaking wet. And we got in a lightning storm, but it's not exactly what our plans were. We hope to come down here to Cumberland and stack them on a spinnerbait. We caught a couple, but we don't get to dictate the weather, do we?
Tough night, and they didn't want no part of that spinnerbait that you made. Didn't want no part of it.
You know what? We'll try it again.
We'll do it, brother.
Freshwater mussels. They lay along the bottoms of many of our streams, rivers, and lakes throughout the state of Kentucky, often unseen, but they are truly important. Monty, I have to tell you, I've been with the Department of Fish and Wildlife for about 13 years now, and this is something I've always wanted to do, was to get out here on the Green River with you. For someone like yourself that has studied mussels your entire life, this kind of is nirvana, is it not?
For freshwater mussels, this is it. This is one of the best places in the world. 75 species, which is 1/3 of North American fauna, right here in the Green River.
You spend a lot of time working on a lot of mussels, but especially the endangered mussels, and I think that's a little bit what we're doing today, right?
Right, this river has 17 federally listed species as threatened or endangered. We have 27 endangered mussels in Kentucky, and so we have a large portion of them here in the Green, and this is one of the best rivers we have left in the Ohio River system.
So when someone says mussels, you know, it's a part of the environment, but they're really, really important because mussels are essentially filters.
There are filter feeders. They're pulling out all the mud and silt, which nobody likes. They're also eating things that can harm us, like bacteria, even harmful algae. They're eating that material and getting it out of the water. So there's over probably 50 to 100,000 little filters out there running constantly. And these things are not small. They sometimes are the size of a baseball, sometimes the size of a dinner plate.
So one of those endangered or federally listed species is the one we're actually putting in today, right?
That's right, and this is called the pink mucket. And this is a species that we've been working with for a while now. Our first release of that species was in 2007 at this site. So 12 years later, we're coming back and we're bringing more. We have several thousand in the Green River now at about 10 locations. So we think after a couple more years, we're going to be done with that species as far as reintroducing it. We're already seeing them reproduce in the wild, and so it's just a matter of time now before we see juveniles popping up at different places where we put them.
Wow, now that's incredible. When you can start getting natural repopulation, that's really the ultimate goal,
That's
right?
the goal.
This is the pink mucket, right?
That's correct.
So, obviously the very first thing that's going to get your attention is the green and the purple. I have actually been down to the facility and tagged these before. These are tags. Tell me what these tags mean.
Well, these tags are a way that we can track individuals. So this one here, for instance, has a little B tag on it with the number 29. So we've measured this animal and have recorded it. So that way, if we find it 5 years from now, we'll know how much it's grown. The purple just basically indicates the year class. So everything that goes out in 2019 has purple on it. So it makes it a little easier.
How old are these?
They're 2 years old.
How long will it take these to be able to start producing offspring?
Year 5 and 6. So these about 3 or 4 more years from now, you should start seeing them reproduce. The animal can hold several thousand little tiny caterpillar larvae. So those have to contact a fish host. So usually the fish has to get close enough to it that they can shoot the larvae out of the water and hit the gills. And then this one here is a species that it has a little fishing-like lure that's maybe 2 to 3 inches long. It'll sit there and jerk it back and forth, and then a bass comes along, strikes at that, and as soon as it hits it, it'll actually get larvae loaded on its gills.
So to bring this species back, you have to first find out what it prefers as a host fish, check the populations of those in this particular stream, because if that's down, then you already know there's potentially
That's exactly
a problem.
right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very interested to see where you're going to put these in, and then are we going to check and see if we locate any mussels from previous years?
We are, and we're going to look and see what kind of species are here and look at the tremendous diversity. We're going to see a lot of mussels today.
So Bonnie, what are these sticks you have in the water here for?
In order to monitor the site, we have to mark the site. So we want to measure from the bank, and we have a GPS coordinates, and we randomly sample in the coordinate system in the grid. We want to put this on the bottom of the river, and we want to count everything that's inside this grid. And then we will move it to a random location, and we'll do this 100 and 200 times sometimes. That'll give us a good estimate of how many mussels are in the whole area. We don't know what we're going to get here, but we're going to see what we can find, and then hopefully we'll see a lot of different kinds and maybe even a rare one or two.
So Laura, you've been with the department for a long time. And you're working now with Kentucky Wild. You said this is the first time you've made this trip.
I've been really excited to come out in the field with Monty and his crew, so this is the first time for me to go help restore endangered mussels.
You know, we all work in Frankfurt. We've been down to the mussel facility. We see some of the great work that they do, but to get out in the field and see how it's impacting this river system is amazing.
Yeah, it is really exciting. And you know, Kentucky Wild, even though it's a really new program, I've worked here since 1994. We've had a staff of folks that work just on the species that maybe folks don't hear about, things like bats and salamanders and songbirds, birds of prey, all those creatures that are out there and make up 90% of what Kentucky's wildlife are, but many folks don't ever see, and mussels are a perfect example of that.
Endangered.
Wow. So that is the catch out of a 1 meter square. And a lot of different species of mussels here, right? You're going to go through them and figure out what we've got.
All kinds of them. This is the pink mucket, and we're going to be releasing these today, but this one was put out 2 years ago, so we know they're doing pretty good. So we're glad to have these here now in the population. Here's another federal endangered species called the fan shell. This species is actually doing fairly well in Kentucky. In the Green and the Licking River, it's got some of the best populations in the world. This is a monkey face. We can see we've got 3 different ages here. You can tell by all the little lines on here how old they are.
Okay.
So you can just look at the little rings, kind of like you do a tree. This is a fluted shell. It gets its name from these little ridges on the side. We have a pistol grip. This one used to be called the buckhorn.
You said pistol grip. Is it
Right.
because
It's
of
like
this?
this right here.
Yep.
It's the shape of a pistol, the
Yeah.
handle of a pistol.
Gotcha.
We have the 3 ridge. This gets fairly large. This is a fairly small one, but it can get pretty large. And the mucket. This is the most common thing we have in the Green. And there's a young one right there.
Right there beside it.
This is called the pink hill splitter, and it gets its name because when it's in the substrate it'll be like that, and you step on it, it can really injure your foot.
Look at this one, cracked.
It's been stepped on or something, but it's repaired itself. And so it's pretty remarkable that it can do that.
It's fantastic.
This is a spike, and here's a closely related one called the kidney shell. This is the wavy rayed lamp mussel. This is the pocketbook. There's a lot of comical names to these guys.
Well, I say we get these back to the grid and release some new ones today.
That's a good idea.
Here in Kentucky, it's always a good idea to keep a rod and reel in your vehicle because you never know when you're going to have an hour to try to catch some fish. Oh, here we go. I came in here today thinking that I might be able to catch some white bass or some sauger, but as you can tell, it's a very nice day for late October. And when it cools in the fall, these fish will run up to the real shallow water. And because that temperature changes faster when you get cooler nights, well, when you get 3 or 4 days in the 80s in October, guess what? This water starts warming faster. So these fish move back into deep pockets. It doesn't get any deeper than this. This is a rock quarry. I'm fishing the very edges of the bank, and these crappie are stacked in here. This is a spot that if you fish in Kentucky, you probably know this walk-in site right under the bridge, right here at Taylorsville Lake. And there's nobody here. It's because it's October. Everybody's in a deer stand, but it's a great time to catch crappie. There we go. Now this is a white bass. Now this is what I come up here thinking I might catch this or some sawguy. In the springtime, everyone knows to come to Nolan River, the Dix River, and the Salt River here and catch these. A lot of people don't know is that they also have a run in the fall, and it's mainly because of changing water temperatures. Now, that's a pretty decent little white bass, and these are great in the skillet. Here we go. Another white bass. I tell you what, the fish are just really stacked in here. Most people are out in the woods in the deer stand. It's a little hotter than what I like to bow hunt. So I said, hey, you know what? You get a couple 80-degree days in October, hit the water. Look at there. It's a keeper crappie. Now here they got to be 10 inches long, and that one is going to make it, and it's pretty thick too. Not a bad little fish. Here we go. Now that's a nice crappie right there. Right now, these crappie for this time of year are real thick and very, very, very healthy. Oh, there's another one. You're talking about a lot of fun. You know, today, I didn't want to do it with a boat, kayak, live bait, nothing. Just grab a little hair jig. Look at how their eyes are situated on top of their head. These fish feed up. So all I'm doing is taking this little bait and I'm keeping this little hair jig above their heads off the bottom. And as I take that bait, I'm just pulsing it through the water at a real slow speed, just like a little minnow, just kind of dawdling along. And these crappie are just coming up, and white bass are coming up and just smoking it. It's a great way to kill a couple hours. Just out here having fun, catching them and putting them right back in. Now let's check in and see who else has been out having fun in this week's Ones That Didn't Get Away. Brother and sister Jack and Maggie Blair of Bowling Green, Kentucky caught these two stripers on their first striper experience on Lake Cumberland. Nice job. Here we have a great picture of Mike Naw holding a beautiful Cumberland River rainbow trout. 7-month pregnant Allison Howard says being pregnant is not stopping her from fishing. Here she has a 3-pound bass caught at Niagara Lake in Henderson, Kentucky. Nice job. Check out this action shot of Lauren Taylor as she catches this bluegill and it tries to squirm away. Nice job. Here we have Isaiah Stazon with his first crappie that he caught at Barren River Lake. Nice job. Cousins Sam and Simon caught these 4 catfish while using crickets at Barren River Lake. Gretchen Teagarden caught this nice largemouth bass on a spinner while fishing in a farm pond in Bracken County. She took the picture and then released the fish in good health. Nice job. Check out this awesome picture of 6-year-old Brady Napier. He's holding this nice largemouth bass that was over 6 pounds that was caught on Lake Malone. Nice job. Well, it's that time of year again. It's time for our live question and answer show with Kentucky Wild. Make sure you join us on Facebook Tuesday, August the 3rd at 7 o'clock Eastern and get all of your questions answered by our panel of guests. And remember, hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Until next week, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.